Hi, I've written down a lot of what I want to say in this video, so I may not be making eye contact through a lot of it. So in this video, I'm going to give you the baby steps to take to have a regular meditation practice. Perhaps because we're adults, most of us have a tendency to want or think that we should be able to sit up straight, quietly, with cleared minds for 20 to 30 minutes already. So I often find people saying, "Oh yeah, I can meditate, but it's boring and I just don't want to." To me, this sounds like the can-do denial equivalent to an addict, particularly a tobacco addict, who needs help to quit and says, "I can quit anytime I want to, and I just don't want to." Now, I'm not saying sometimes a person can't change an addictive pattern on their own. It happens all the time. Sometimes the inner strength to do so is found, but there is generally an inertia effect, and it is generally not achieved like the snapping of fingers the moment one decides they wish to. I don't wish to ramble. I'm here for another purpose, and that is to hopefully help adjust your thinking to a more accurate and realistic one, and honestly fairer to yourself, and to give you the baby steps that, when practiced and taken, I believe will allow you to learn to walk steadily over time practicing meditation. So, the first baby step I recommend has to do with time. Starting off very small, 5 minutes every day, and you will need a timer. There's nothing more distracting, in my opinion, to timed meditation than not having a timer. You'll be wondering if the time is up. You'll be looking at your clock or your phone, and it'll just keep going through your head, trying to figure out if the time is up. So get a timer. You may already have one on your phone, and if you don't get a lot of phone calls, then that may work for you. Or if you're meditating, during hours where you don't get phone calls, that may work for you. Otherwise, you'll need one that'll allow you to shut your phone off. So get a timer, set it for the 5 minutes, push it aside, and that'll be that. And your mind will not be on the time, at least not as much. So that's baby step 1. Baby step 2 is to have a point of focus. You can use an object, any object really that you find beautiful or attractive, and that's conducive to the state of mind you're trying to get into, a peaceful, relaxed one. So some good options are candles, and I know these ones have gigantic wicks. It's because I made them myself and I haven't trimmed them yet, but it's a star. It could be a figurine of some sort. It can be a painting or flowers. A plaque here with an affirmation on it. It says the glorious beauty of your dreams can come true. Like I said, just make sure it's something positive and in line with what you're trying to do. You can create a whole altar, a meditation altar, have some attractive cloths, and put down a number of objects that'll work too. The third baby step, 3, is consistency, and this one is so important. I recommend doing it once a day in the beginning, not twice or 3 times or more. Extras should be allowed as desired, but your only goal and the only thing you're accountable for is doing it once a day for 5 minutes. And I'll talk a little bit at the end of the video about how to know when you're ready to increase your meditation minutes or amount of time that you're doing it. But baby step 3 is consistency, practicing every day once for 5 minutes. Like I said, if you feel like doing it anymore on any given day, go ahead and do it, but don't start planning to do it more than once a day or holding yourself accountable to doing it more than once a day. The other thing with that is if it's practical for you to do it the same time every day, that'll help with the consistency, but it's not required. If you can't do that or it's not practical for you, don't worry about it. Just be doing it once a day. And if you can't do it at 6 a.m. every morning, but you can do it every morning, so before lunch or whatever, that'll also be helpful to have the consistency, as much consistency as possible. When you meditate, make sure you're practicing good posture, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that at the end of the video too. But the fourth baby step is patience and self-acceptance. Practicing patience, it's going to get you far. If you aren't patient with yourself, then you're going to have problems. If you're a good teacher, then think of it as giving yourself the patience that you would give to anyone you're teaching something to. If they're brand new to it and you're teaching them something to it, the amount of patience you would give them, give that to yourself. And if you're not a good teacher and you're not good with patience in that way, think of it like giving yourself the amount of patience that you would want someone else to give you when they're teaching you something that is brand new to you. And self-acceptance, there's a reason that these are called baby steps. It's similar to riding a bike, and yet it's very different, because the saying of once you learn how to ride a bike, you never forget, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, you don't decide one day you're gonna ride a bike, you want to ride a bike, get on the bike and just start riding it. You have to learn it. And you're probably going to fall off and have obstacles and things you stumble with while you're learning. So accept what you're going through in the moment. Don't give up on yourself. Don't try and fight. If unpleasant things are coming up in your meditation, you're thinking of things, or if you're trying to achieve that horse mind, I need to backtrack and explain that. There's a saying that I learned when I was studying Tai Chi energy patterns, and there's a description for when your mind is racing and you're thinking and you're going off. 1 second you're thinking about what you're going to have for dinner, and then you're thinking about peas, and then you're thinking about how peas grow, and then you're thinking about peace because it sounds like peas, and then you're thinking about something that distracted you out your window, and it just goes round and round and round. You keep thinking. You have a busy mind. The busy mind is called monkey mind. Okay, and the state that you achieve when you're exercising, or you're focusing on something and you're really not thinking about a bunch of different things, you're just thinking about what you're doing in the moment, or not really having thoughts at all, you're just doing. That stilled mind is called horse mind. So it's true that you want to be, I hate to use the word working, but working towards achieving a horse mind state when you're meditating. But you're probably going to have monkey mind come up, and you don't want to fight your thoughts. You don't want to tell them, be quiet, stop, and fight against them to try and get them to shut up. That's actually another step. But anyway, self-acceptance. Accept what's going on in the now. Don't fight back about it. Just observe it, let it drift off, and keep coming back. So, fifth baby step is breathing. We're always breathing, right? Unless you're holding your breath. So you're going to be breathing. But the baby step is referring to paying attention to your breath, observing it, trying to get some regulation to it. So you don't want to be breathing on level. I'm sorry if that just made a staticky noise. You want to try and get your breaths even. And also, breathe through your nose if you're able to. Obviously, if you're not able to, for some reason, you have some sort of sinus congestion or something like that, you can breathe through your mouth, but there's good reason why you should breathe through your nose. So try and breathe in and out through your nose. Try and make them even, and try to pay attention to them. And then the sixth and final baby step is relax your thoughts. So I use that term, relax your thoughts, very purposefully. I didn't say stop your thoughts, and there's a reason for that. A lot of people, when they think of meditation, that's what they think of. They think of stopping their thoughts, of sitting and having no thoughts, and that's not what it is. That's really far too vague of a definition, and it's misleading. Do not try and stop your thoughts. Just relax your thoughts. That's the baby step. So to talk a little bit more about fighting against thoughts and the monkey mind and the horse mind now, I want to say that when you try to stop your thoughts, if you are thinking and you think, okay, now stop, or quiet, the second that you do that, the second that you go to fight and argue with your thoughts and tell them stop or push them away in that manner, you're actually moving into monkey mind even further. So that's why it's relax your thoughts instead of fight with your thoughts and stop your thoughts. So those are the baby steps, but I had a little bit of bonus material I wanted to share on the video too, and they are some techniques that you may want to try. The first one is what I call relax, body relax. So this technique is where you start at the top of your head, and you'll actually say either to yourself in your mind or out loud if you'd like to. You'll say head and face, relax, relax, relax. And you'll say neck and throat, relax, relax, relax. Shoulders, relax, relax, relax. All the way down to your toes, and then you can start back up at your head again and do it again. I find that this does relax my body some. So that's one of them. The other one has to do with posture. Like I said, you want to be in good posture when you're meditating, and for a lot of us, that's very tedious and hard and seems impossible in the beginning. If you don't practice good posture in your daily life, it's going to be very hard and may seem impossible. But stick with it. Remember, you're working towards something. You're not expected to jump on the bike and ride the bike. So the technique that I have that may help with that is if you're sitting in Lotus pose, and if you don't know what Lotus pose is, Google that or look it up elsewhere. But you'll be sitting anyhow. And what you do is you imagine a string right in the center of the top of your head, a string attached to that, and it'll be pulling you straight up. Okay? And also while you're doing this, you have your ears aligned with your shoulders and your shoulders aligned with your hips. So you'll focus on having your hips, your shoulders, your ears all aligned, and a string attached to the top of your head, an imaginary one, and pulling your head straight up. Another technique is counting breaths. Pick a low number if you're a beginner, especially. Pick a low number. You can try 10, you can start off at 10, but I recommend even lower. Certainly pick a number that's below 10, 5 or 3 or anything like that. So I'll try hard not to make staticky noise in this microphone, but I'm warning you, I'm going to do some breathing, so If it starts getting loud, you may want to turn it down for a minute. What that'll be like is you'll breathe in, breathe out. That'll be 1. Breathe in, breathe out. 2. And the alternative way to do that is to count the whole time. So you'll be breathing in 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Breathing out 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Breathing in 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Breathing out 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And then when you get to the number you've chosen, 3 or 5 or whatever it is, below 10, you'll start over. So if my number was 2, then I would now start at 1 again. And remember, breathing through your nose, in and out. Candle flames. Using candle flames to focus on is something I want to talk about, because candle flames are, for a lot of people, one of the easiest things to focus on. So for beginners, using a candle and focusing on a candle flame can be a worthwhile idea. Soy, preferably, as the others, paraffin, pretty nasty, beeswax, too, pretty horrible for the environment. So, another one is to categorize your thoughts and let them drift. So when you're sitting down to meditate and thoughts come up, instead of fighting them and saying, stop, go away, chew. What you can do is you can give them a category and then let them drift off. So if you're sitting here meditating and all of a sudden, what am I going to have for dinner pops into your head, you would say food and let it drift. And then, did she really mean what she said to me earlier? The past, let it drift off. So instead of fighting with your thoughts, you'll categorize them, give them somewhere they belong, and allow them to drift off. That's more of a relaxed mind rather than jumping in with monkey mind and fighting them, having more thoughts. Okay, another one that you can use if you choose to is to have some meditational friendly music playing. That doesn't mean, I personally don't find anything with words helpful. That's counterproductive for me, but I'm sure there are some things out there, like poetry that's sang and things of that nature that work well for some people. But the type of music I'm talking about is not country music or rock and roll music or hip hop or pop music or anything like that, regardless of how much you like it. What I'm talking about is music such as nature sounds, instrumental things, I guess classical, or piano, flutes, things like that, things that are soothing. So that's another one. And is that all of them? I think that's all of them. So another thing I wanted to say was the question obviously will come up with, what is it? Step 3, baby step 3, consistency. So I said that I advise you to just do one or just to hold yourself accountable for one session, 5 minutes long, every day of meditation. Now, obviously, you can graduate from that at some point and change that. It can become 10 minutes once a day, or 5 minutes twice a day, or 7 minutes once a day. So the question is, how do you know when to progress to more time? Frequency. And my answer for that is when you have been consistently practicing it and you don't feel anxious for it to be over at all, consistently. You feel at the end of your meditation session that you need or want more time every time you meditate. consistently for 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm going to try and say that again because I think that's really important. Again, that's step 3, consistency, and it's probably the most vital step. How do you know when to progress from 5 minutes once a day to more time and frequency? And the answer to that I give is when you have consistently been meditating, you've been doing it once a day for 5 minutes consistently without missing days, and you don't feel anxious during your meditation, wondering if it's over or anxiety for it to be over. At the end of the 5 minutes, when you're done, you feel like you want or need more time. Every time you meditate, this happens. And it's been happening for between 2 to 3 weeks. So, you will get there if you stick with it long enough, and then you will graduate and you can up your time and or your frequency as you see fit. That's my recommendation. 2 to 3 weeks. And so I just want to run through the baby steps briefly again. Baby step 1. I recommend that you take a baby step with time and do 5 minutes. No more. And if you're giving 5 minutes a fair shot, you've tried it a number of times and it's really hard for you to stick with it for 5 minutes. If you find that you're cutting your time short, and it just seems too hard, you're missing meditation and you think it's because it's too long, go ahead and cut it back more. Try meditating for 3 minutes or whatnot, because that's really not the issue, and that's really not an obstacle for you to worry about. Don't worry about meditating long enough. The thing to worry about the thing that's important here is the consistency, step 3, not how many minutes you're doing it for. However, I do recommend that you start with 5 minutes rather than 30 minutes because that's like trying to run before you're walking or standing. So, baby step 2 is to find a point of focus. A lot of people meditate with their eyes closed and their focus is within them or in darkness or any visions that come up, and that's great. But for your consistent practice, I recommend having an outside point of focus in the beginning. And again, those could be nice, healthy soy candles. It could be a figurine that you like. It could be any number of things. You get to really be creative here. It can be a coffee cup. If you really love a picture that's on your coffee cup or a saying that's on your coffee cup and it fits into what you're trying to do, you can use that. Be creative. Again, you can create a whole meditation altar to suit you. Baby step 3, consistency. Keep doing it. If you mess up and you do miss a day, just pick it up the next day. The longer you stay in that zone where you're not being consistent, the harder it is to get back to consistency. So, once a day, every day, at the same time, if that's practical for you. If it's not, you can do the same time of day, but not the same hour, such as morning or such as after your lunch. Perhaps you have lunch at different times after your lunch, or when you get home from work in the afternoon or in the evening before bed. If you can't make yourself do that, you can still do it once a day. So find as much consistency as works in your life and that you can hold yourself to, and do that at least once a day for 5 minutes. And like I said, extras are allowed as desired, but don't hold yourself accountable for them. Don't plan them. Don't wake up and say, I'm going to meditate twice today. If you meditate your one time that you're holding yourself accountable for, and then you feel like you want to meditate again, you sit down, you meditate, great, that's fine. Accountable for once a day. Stay consistent, do your best. Step 4 is patience and self-acceptance. Practice patience with yourself and practice self-acceptance. Baby step 5 is your breathing. Breathe in and out through your nose. If you're not used to doing that, then it's going to be a process also. Try to observe your breath. Try to breathe evenly. Again, don't fight with yourself and force yourself. You're trying to come from a relaxed mind, not a fighting mind. But that is the baby step to do with the breathing. Baby step 6 is to relax your thoughts. I hope I didn't forget anything. And I hope you enjoyed my video and it's helpful and useful for all of you. If you did enjoy it, please give it a like. And if you think that someone else you know could benefit from it and would enjoy watching it, please share it. Thank you and be well. Remember to stick with it.